Hello, my name is Johar, and in this session I am going to discuss about fatty acid breakdown and ketogenesis. So first of all, the location of the fatty acid breakdown. Mainly the fatty acid breakdown takes place in the mitochondria, and there are three major types of breakdown. One is the known as beta oxidation, the other known as alpha oxidation, and the third is the omega oxidation. It depends on which carbon the oxidation gets started. So if we see a structure of a fatty acid, let us see a structure of fatty acid like, for example, this COOH and this CH2, this CH2, 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 and this CH3. Let's suppose it is a fatty acid containing 6 carbon. So there are many kind of numbering system, but here we are using this. This is the alpha carbon. The first carboxylic acid carbon does not have a name. This is the beta carbon, and this is gamma carbon, and the last one is the omega carbon. Last carbon is known as omega carbon. Omega carbon. So majority of the fatty acid breakdowns take place at this carbon. And the oxidation takes place for the breakdown of the fatty acid at this carbon. That is the beta oxidation. It is the most common form of fatty acid breakdown or fatty acid oxidation. However, there are chances of alpha as well as omega carbon oxidation. And the substrate, as we know, is the fatty acid, and usually the commonest being the palmitic acid, because it is the major fatty acid that is being synthesized in the body, as we have learned in the last lecture. Product acetyl coenzyme A, we know that acetyl coenzyme A that is being synthesized due to breakdown of the fatty acid will be utilized in the TCA cycle, and after TCA cycle it will generate NADH, FADH2. These will be utilized in the ETC to generate ATP. And these two lectures we had already learned, so there is no need to go into detail. And the product is the NADH and FADH2 also, and these NADH2, FADH2 directly enters the ATC, because this fatty acid breakdown is already taking place inside the mitochondria, so there is no problem in the transportation. And this acetyl coenzyme will first go into the TC and then to the ATC to generate the energy or ATP. Basically, the purpose for the oxidation is to generate energy. Now, this is the activation step. Fatty acid must be activated before being oxidized. How the fatty acid is being activated? The activation is done by the addition of the coenzyme A. So it is known as activation step. Here the long chain fatty acid will be activated. Long chain fatty acid will be converted into long chain fatty acyl coenzyme A. Fatty acid will be converted into long chain or fatty acyl coenzyme A. In this reaction, ATP is utilized. In fact, 2 ATP if you say, because it has directly been converted into AMP, and pyrophosphate is released. And the enzyme is catalyzed by acyl-CoA synthetase or thiokinase. Now this fatty acid is being activated. It can be utilized for the generation of energy, and pyrophosphate is being converted into 2-phosphate by pyrophosphatase. So fatty acid will be converted into fatty acyl coenzyme A by the enzyme acyl-CoA synthetase. 2 ATP is being utilized in this reaction. Next step is the transportation or going inside the mitochondria, because this step, the activation step, is taking place in the cytosol. However, the breakdown or the fatty acid oxidation takes place in the mitochondria. Usually the small and medium chain fatty acids, or fatty acyl coenzyme A, does not need any medium to get inside the mitochondria. They can get inside the mitochondria without any trouble. However, long chain fatty acids cannot go inside, or cannot get inside the mitochondria. There is a problem with the long chain fatty acid. Long chain or very long chain, in fact long chain, because very long chain can be oxidized in the peroxisomes also. So long chain fatty acid coenzyme A cannot get inside the mitochondria, so it needs a shuttle, and that shuttle is basically the carnitine shuttle. We will learn, but how the carnitine is being synthesized. Carnitine can be synthesized in our body by the use of two amino acids, lysine and methionine. This is not important to remember how the carnitine is being synthesized. I just mentioned in this slide. However, it is not necessary to remember. Now the carnitine will bind with acyl-CoA, that is the fatty acyl-CoA and carnitine will bind together, make acyl-carnitine by the enzyme carnitine palmitoyl transferase 1, CPT1. Carnitine palmitoyl transferase 1. This is an enzyme that catalyzes the combination of, or combining of, carnitine with acyl coenzyme A. So acyl-carnitine will be formed. It takes place in the intermembranous space of mitochondria. Now this acyl-carnitine can get inside the mitochondria and again converted back into carnitine and acyl coenzyme A, fatty acyl coenzyme A. This carnitine will come out of the mitochondria. So conversion back of acyl carnitine into carnitine and fatty acyl coenzyme A is done by the carnitine palmitoyl transferase 2. So this is CPT2. So there are two enzymes in this shuttle, and both the enzymes are basically present. One is present in the inside, that is the matrix, or the other is present in the intermembranous space. So first enzyme that is present in the intermembranous space will convert carnitine and acyl coenzyme A into acyl carnitine. This acyl carnitine get inside the mitochondria. In the mitochondrial matrix, it will be again converted back into acyl coenzyme A and carnitine by the effect of carnitine palmitoyl transferase 2 enzyme. And then this carnitine will again come back into the intermembranous space and maybe in the cytoplasm as well, and again ready to combine with another acyl coenzyme A. So that's how the here things will work. This is an expansion of this equation CPT1 and CPT2. Like we had discussed in the fatty acid synthesis, there are 4 repetitive steps in the fatty acid synthesis. That is the condensation, reduction, dehydration, reduction. Here exactly the opposite of those two, because if you remember, it is the condensation that was the first reaction, and then reduction, then again dehydration, and the last one is also reduction in the synthesis, fatty acid synthesis. However, in the oxidation, exactly the opposite of these 4 reactions will take place. So for the oxidation, here oxidation, then hydration, addition of water, then oxidation, and then cleavage, breaking down. Here the condensation, cleavage. So in oxidation or the breakdown of fatty acid, exactly 4 opposite sort of repetitive reactions takes place. So we will learn how. We know that since the fatty acid has been activated and being transported inside the mitochondrial matrix. First of all, it is being activated by using CoA acids, that is the coenzyme A, and then the fatty acid coenzyme A will combine with carnitine and get inside by the CPT1, and then again converted back into acyl coenzyme A by the fatty acid coenzyme A by the enzyme CPT2. Now this acyl coenzyme A will be oxidized in the mitochondrial matrix by the enzyme acyl-CoA dehydrogenase, and there is a trans-2-enoyl coenzyme A. This is the product, and this acyl-CoA dehydrogenase has many isoforms. It depends on the chain length. Like for short chain, there is a short chain fatty acyl-CoA dehydrogenase. There is a medium chain fatty acyl-CoA dehydrogenase. There is a long chain fatty acyl-CoA dehydrogenase. Mainly in our food or in our body, usually it is long chain and medium chain is being more and more used or utilized for the generation of energy. However, in certain disease, like for example, one of the inborn error of metabolism of fatty acid oxidation, there is a deficiency of medium chain fatty acyl-CoA dehydrogenase enzyme. So what happens in the fasting case? Whenever the person go into the fasting, there is a lot of problem because the fatty acid, because the lack of this enzyme in the fasting state, usually the body utilizes fats to generate energy, and in the lack, because of the defect or deficiency or lack of this enzyme, there is a the body is unable to generate energy, ATP, because the body is unable to oxidize or break down the medium chain fatty acid, that is the major fatty acid in during the in between the feeds. So therefore, the treatment is to avoid the fasting, and some of the outcome or manifestation of the medium chain acyl-CoA dehydrogenase deficiency resulted in sudden infant death syndrome or Reye syndrome. So the next is the hydration reaction, in which the trans-2-enoyl CoA will be converted into beta-hydroxyacyl-CoA, and the enoyl-CoA hydratase is the enzyme that is being responsible for this reaction. And the third step is the oxidation reaction again, that is beta-hydroxyacyl A will be converted into beta-K2-acyl A, and NADH is being synthesized here. Again, in the thiolase reaction, it will be cleaved out. So 2 carbon molecule, that is the acetyl coenzyme A, will be cleaved out or broken down from the main fatty acid or fatty acyl coenzyme A. So this fatty acyl coenzyme A will again enter these 4 steps, like 1, 2, 3, and then 4, and after 4 it will again break down into acetyl coenzyme A and fatty acyl CoA with 2 less carbon. Than the original one. So again this will go to the same fate, like this here and this, second step and then third step, and then again cleavage, like this repetitive steps are going on till at the end there will be 4 carbon. Let's suppose in the first step this is having 16 carbon. Let's suppose here I am writing at this step this fatty acid CoA is having 16 carbon. So after these step, like 1, 2, 3, 4, it will become 14 carbon and 2 carbon, that is the acetyl coenzyme A. Now again, after the 1, 2, 3, 4 steps, it will be broken down into 12 carbon and 1, 2 carbon, that is acetyl-CoA. Again, this 12 carbon will go through 1, 2, 3, 4 steps and then broken down into 10 carbon and 2 carbon. This will be 8 carbon and 2 carbon. This will be 6 carbon and 2 carbon. This will be 4 carbon and 2 carbon. This will be 2 carbon. So at the end there will be 2 acetyl coenzyme A that will be generated after the breaking down of 4 carbon molecule. However, we must have to remember one thing, that in the first reaction there is a generation of 1 NADH2, that is the flavoprotein, and in the third reaction there is a generation of 1 NADH. So in one cycle of this repetitive 4 steps, like here in one cycle 16 carbon is converted into 14 and 2. So here 1 NADH is generated and 1 FADH2 is generated and 1 acetyl-CoA is generated. So there are 3 things at every stage is being generated: 1 NADH, 1 FADH2 and 1 acetyl coenzyme. So at a, like for example, this is the first, this is the second and third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. So there will be, to completely break down the 16 carbon molecule, there will be 7 cycles. 7 cycles of beta oxidation. To completely break down the 16 carbon molecule of palmitic acid into acetyl coenzyme A, there will be 7 cycles of beta oxidation, like we had calculated here. This is the first cycle, this is the second cycle, third, and this is the fourth, fifth, sixth and seventh. At the 7th cycle there will be 2 acetyl coenzyme A, so there won't be any further breakdown. Now the odd chain fatty. This is what we have discussed when there will be a even chain fatty acid like 16, 14, 12, 10, 8, 18, 20. We can easily, at the end, the last step will remain the same. That is the 2 carbon, the 2 acetyl coenzyme A at the end. However, let's suppose when there will be odd chain fatty acid like 19, 21 carbon, 17 carbon, 15 carbon. So what will happen? In the last step there will be 5 carbon. After the 5 carbon will be broken down, there will be 2 carbon acetyl coenzyme A and 1 propionyl coenzyme A. Propionyl coenzyme A is a 3 carbon molecule, so there won't be any further breakdown at this after this stage. So what will happen to the propionyl? Since acetyl coenzyme A, we know that it will go inside the TCA cycle and generate GTP, FADH2 and NADH. These two again go into the ETC, generate ATP. So but what will happen to this propionyl coenzyme A? Because this propionyl coenzyme is a 3 carbon and it doesn't get inside the TCA cycle on its own. We have not seen any propionyl coenzyme A in the TCA cycle so far. So what happens to this propionyl coenzyme A? It will be converted into methyl manonyl coenzyme A. This methyl manonyl coenzyme A is basically racemized to L-methyl. D form will be racemized to L form. We had learned about the isomerization in the enzymes section. This L-methyl manonyl coenzyme A will be converted into succinyl coenzyme A. So here if you see, this is a 3 carbon molecule, 1, 2, 3. This is a 4 carbon molecule. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 carbon. Addition of carbon is given by the carbon dioxide, and here is also a 4 carbon. So it is nothing but isomerization only here. This succinyl coenzyme A, if you remember, is a part of TCA cycle. So here, from here it can go into the TCA cycle. So that's how the odd chain fatty acids it's being oxidized. At the last, there is a difference at the last step only. In the even chain fatty acid, the last step will generate only even chain fatty acid. Even chain means carbon number is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, like this. In the even chain fatty acid, at the last step there will be generation of 2 acetyl coenzyme A. However, in the odd chain fatty acids, odd chain means 3, 5, 7, like this, there will be 1 acetyl coenzyme A and 1 propionyl coenzyme A. And this propionyl coenzyme A will be utilized by this mechanism. It will be converted into methylmalonyl coenzyme A, then racemized, and then converted into succinyl coenzyme A. This succinyl coenzyme A will be utilized in TCA cycle, like the acetyl coenzyme A will also be utilized in the TCA cycle. So that's how the energy is being generated from the odd chain as well as even chain fatty acids. And now we will discuss about the different types of regulation. First of all, the regulation, the major form of regulation of beta oxidation is basically the availability of fatty acid. The more the fatty acid available, more there will be beta oxidation. And this availability of fatty acid is dependent on two major hormones in our body, especially their ratio, because their actions are contrast of each other. So glucagon-insulin ratio will decide how much is the free fatty acid available. Like, for example, if there is a more glucagon, more free fatty acid will be available, and less glucagon, less free fatty acid will be available. So increased ratio will lead to increased fatty acid availability. Or in case of high insulin level, there will be decreased fatty acid, free fatty acid. And there is another mode of regulation at the CPT1. Basically, it is written as CAT1, but it is the same CPT1, that is the carnitine palmitoyl transferase 1, where the entry point, we remember the carnitine shuttle. The carnitine will combine with acyl CoA. Carnitine will combine with fatty acyl CoA, and by the enzyme CPT1, and then gets it is the same actually C81, the same enzyme. Okay, and then it will become acyl carnitine and can get inside the mitochondria, again converted back into the carnitine and fatty acyl coenzyme A, and fatty acyl coenzyme A will be broken down by the beta oxidation pathway. Alpha oxidation takes place at the level of alpha carbon during metabolism of branch chain fatty acid. Branch chain fatty acid is being oxidized or broken down by using alpha oxidation. Usually happens in the location is the endoplasmic reticulum. Phytanic acid is very important acid. It is a branch chain fatty acid present mainly from the plant sources. We get mainly from the plant sources. We eat there are many diets in which it is present, phytanic acid. And sometimes there is a defect in the alpha oxidation, and that defect is known as, there is a disease in which that defect is present, and that disease is known as Refsum's disease. So in the reference disease, there is a defect in the alpha oxidation. Due to a defect in the alpha oxidation, there is a accumulation or increased concentration or accumulation of phytanic acid in the endoplasmic reticulum. Since there is a defect, phytanic acid cannot be broken down, therefore it gets accumulated in the endoplasmic reticulum. So omega oxidation takes place at the omega carbon. The location is microsomes. Now this is an important part, how to calculate and the ATP generated from complete oxidation of a beta oxidation of any fatty acid. We have an example of palmitic acid here. So as we have discussed, like since it is a 16 carbon molecule, so it will generate at least 8 acetyl coenzyme 8 acetyl coenzyme, because there are 2 carbons in each, so 2 into 8 is equal to 16 carbon palmitic acid. Now this 8 acetyl coenzyme will be generated, plus there will be 7 cycles of beta oxidation. We as you remember, if you go back, I think you remember these 7 cycles, how we had calculated how many cycles will be there to completely break down the 16 carbon fatty acid into 2 carbon acetyl coenzyme A. So there will be 7 cycles. So 7 cycles will lead to generation of 7 NADH. We know that each cycle will lead to generation of 1 NADH and 1 FADH2 and 7 FADH2. Okay. Now again we will go in the TCA cycle. In the TCA cycle, 1 acetyl coenzyme A will lead to generation of 3 NADH, 1 FADH2 and 1 GTP or ATP, you can say. So 8 acetyl coenzyme will lead to 24 NADH, 8 FADH2 and 8 GTP or ATP. Now combine both these things, 7 here, from 7 this 7 plus 24 NADH plus 8 FADH2. If we combine both, so what will happen? 31 NADH plus 15 FADH2 FADH2 plus 8 GTP or ATP. If you go back, if you remember that the 2 ATP is needed for the activation of fatty acid. So now we have to subtract 2 minus 2 ATP. So finally it will become 31 NADH plus 15 FADH2 plus 6 ATP or GTP. Now we remember the 31 NADH, let's calculate like this. 1 NADH will lead to 3 ATP plus 15 and 2 FADH2 will lead to 2 ATP plus 6 ATP. So it will be like this, 93 plus 30 plus 6. So it will be 129 ATP. 106 is mentioned if we take 2.5 here and 1.5 here. So that's how we calculate how many ATP is being generated in complete oxidation of fatty acid. So this is an example of 16 carbon. You can have an idea about let's have another example of 14 carbon, so that you can comprehend very well how in the 14 carbon, we know that the total acetyl coenzyme will be generated will be 7. So 14 carbon myristic acid. So we have gone for the complete oxidation or breakdown of the 14 carbon, there will be 7 acetyl coenzyme A will be generated, and 6 cycles of beta oxidation will take place. 6 cycles beta oxidation. So 6 cycles of beta oxidation will generate 6 NADH plus 6 FADH2 Now one acetyl coenzyme, as we had remembered in the last 3 NADH plus 1 FADH2 plus 1 ATP is being generated. Now combine here. So that's 3. This will become 7 3 is 21. 7 3 is 21. NADH plus 7 FADH2 plus 7 ATP. Now add here everything. 7 NADH plus 7 FADH2 plus 7 ATP. So if we add this, it will become 27 NADH plus 13 FADH2 plus 7 ATP. 27 NADH, 27 into 3 plus 13 into 2 plus 7 minus 2, as 2 is being utilized to activation of the fatty acid. We remember in the first reaction, the activation. So it will become 81 plus 26 plus 5, 2, and then 112 ATP. So the complete oxidation or breakdown of 14 carbon will generate 112. Complete oxidation of 16 carbon fatty acid will generate 129 ATP. So that's how we can calculate ATP. I think it is fully comprehensible now. Now the ketogenesis, the another topic in this lecture is the ketogenesis. Sometimes, like for example, our brain does not really utilize fat very well. It is mainly dependent on the carbohydrate to generate energy. However, in certain condition, carbohydrate may be less. So this fat oxidation or breakdown of fat will generate a lot of acetyl coenzyme in the mitochondrial matrix, and this acetyl coenzyme can combine together to make the ketone bodies, these 3 ketone bodies, acetone, acetoacetate and beta hydroxybutyrate, and these can be utilized by the brain also. So liver is the location where these ketogenesis takes place, and utilization in the muscle, cardiac cell, renal cortex and even brain. What it happens during prolonged starvation, prolonged fasting, and in diabetes mellitus, because of the abnormal work of the insulin and glucagon in the diabetes, and in the prolonged fasting because of the increased concentration of glucagon and decreased concentration of insulin. Acetoacetate and beta hydroxybutyrate are water soluble ketone bodies. They are synthesized and exported by the liver into the blood. Liver can synthesize but does not utilize the ketones. Ketones are the basically means for energy. Basically, it can also generate energy, like the acetyl coenzyme. They are made up of acetyl coenzyme, so they can generate energy as well. And transported by blood to various tissue, muscle, cardiac cells, renal cortex and even brain, and converted back into acetyl coenzyme to be utilized in the TCA cycle and generate FADH and FADH2, NADH and GTP. Now how basically it is being generated? It is also considered as alternative fuel. So here the acetyl coenzyme, 2 acetyl coenzyme condensed together to make the acetoacetyl coenzyme by the enzyme thiolase. Now another acetyl coenzyme binds with this acetoacetyl coenzyme. These two condense together to make HMG-CoA, that is the 3-hydroxy 3-methyl glutaryl coenzyme, or beta hydroxy beta methyl glutaryl coenzyme. After this step, step is being catalyzed with HMG-CoA synthase. HMG-CoA synthase is the rate limiting step. It controls the rate of the pathway. And in the last step, this HMG-CoA is broken down into acetoacetate and acetyl coenzyme. So this acetoacetate basically is a ketone body. Now this acetoacetate either be reduced to beta hydroxybutyrate. One is either reduced to beta hydroxy butyrate, or spontaneously decarboxylated. Spontaneous decarboxylation will lead to acetone. So both the remaining ketone bodies will be formed from acetoacetate. First, the acetoacetate must be formed, must be synthesized. Spontaneous decarboxylation is nothing but any decarboxylation, that is the removal of carbon dioxide without the help of enzyme. It can happen spontaneously. There is no need of enzyme. Here the acetyl coenzyme, two acetyl coenzyme combine together, condense to form acetoacetyl coenzyme. Again further condensation with another acetyl coenzyme with acetoacetyl coenzyme lead to generation of beta hydroxy beta methyl butyryl coenzyme, that is HMG-CoA. HMG-CoA further broken down into acetoacetate and acetyl coenzyme. This acetyl coenzyme again we reutilize in the synthesis pathway or maybe in the TCA cycle. This acetoacetate it either be reduced to beta hydroxybutyrate or spontaneously decarboxylate to make the acetone. In the next, here the reduction, here the NADH will be utilized and acetoacetate will be reduced to beta hydroxybutyrate by the enzyme beta hydroxybutyrate dehydrogenase. Here the acetoacetate is spontaneously decarboxylated. This carbon dioxide will be removed into acetone. So these three, that is the acetoacetate, beta hydroxybutyrate and acetone are the three ketone bodies. First of all, the acetoacetate must be formed, and in this formation pathway the HMG-CoA synthase is the rate limiting enzyme. After that, acetoacetate either reduced to beta hydroxybutyrate or decarboxylate to acetone. Now utilization, after releasing into the blood, it is transported to the muscle cell or maybe cardiac muscle cell, renal cortex or maybe brain also. So there in those tissues it will be converted back. First the beta hydroxybutyrate will be oxidized to acetoacetate, and then acetoacetate will be converted into acetoacetyl CoA by combining with succinyl CoA. Succinyl coenzyme will be converted into succinate and acetoacetate will be converted into acetoacetyl coenzyme. The reaction is catalyzed by thiophorase enzyme. Thiophorase enzyme is not present in liver. Therefore, liver cannot utilize the ketone bodies but can generate it. Liver can generate it but does not utilize the ketone bodies. Now this two acetoacetyl coenzyme will be broken into two acetyl coenzyme, and these will be utilized in the TCA cycle for the generation of NADH and FADH2. This NADH and FADH2 will be utilized in ETC to generate ATP, and that is the whole purpose of this ketone bodies formation, because it acts as an alternative fuel. And the beta oxidation, the purpose is also the same, to generate energy by generating acetyl coenzyme, or sometimes in the odd chain fatty acid, the last step, there is a propionyl coenzyme also. So that's all about this fatty acid oxidation and ketogenesis session. Thank you very much.